News!
Okay, and now it's time for another installment of what has fast become one of the more popular segments here on the channel. Not the Ring IQ hate mail, but the Ring IQ mailbag, which is a bit more friendly. Alex Alberto. I recently stated that I would give Mikaela Mayer more credit for taking the Shields fight than I would give Claressa Shields for winning it. To which Alex stated, Ring IQ, I respect you, so I mean this with sincerity. If Claressa doesn't accomplish anything by beating Price, Mayer, or Tam, who in the blazes would you want her to fight to elevate her legacy? She may as well retire. That seems like an unfair take. Peace and blessings. It's an untenable situation, Alex. And that's what it all boils down to. Because the middleweight division is barren, doesn't make Mikaela Mayer or Lauren Price credible opponents there because they've never fought there. They're not middleweights. Mikaela started out at lightweight or super feather, somewhere down there, and Lauren started out at welter. Neither of those women have accomplished anything in the middleweight division. So if you're fighting them because there's nobody around at 160, it just is what it is. You know, it's not up to me to make it better. It's what people like to call an untenable situation. A situation where there's really nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I saw that Claressa Shields fight last night. You know, she did what she was supposed to do. Shit, you see that robot that was in front of her? Man, look. Congratulations, Claressa Shields. Congratulations. Hey, you did what you were supposed to do. That lady was straight up ass chips. Come on now. When I saw her on video, shit hitting the hand pads and the back, I said, oh my God, man, come on. You can't be happy with this shit. I'm sorry. You know, that's like me being happy whooping Casamayor old ass. I wasn't happy about that shit. Hey, I took the easy, payday. Shit, he was a lefty. Yeah, that was a freebie. That was my first performance with Top Rank. That was my freebie right there. That was like my signing bonus. But shit, this last night for you, that shit was so easy. Come on now. Too easy. Yo, you know what? If you want some real smoke, some real smoke, and you want to super impress me, oh, you impressed me already. You the one. But I'm saying, the real smoke, yeah, get in there with Mikaela Mayer. That's a different type of white girl right there, yeah. Get in there with Mikaela Mayer and do that what you did last night. Yeah, try to do that. Shit, you do that, man, straight up bow. I'm going to bow to your ass, for real.
I agree with most of what Timothy Bradley said, except for the last part. I'm not going to give you credit for fighting a girl that started out at 130 or 135, where Claressa started out at 168.
The fuck?
Some jackass in the comments didn't want to believe me when I said that Claressa started out at super middleweight, but he's supposed to be a Claressa Shields fan. He said, LOL, she didn't start at 168. She started at 154, but I see that doesn't fit the agenda.
Somebody want to tell this guy?
Hey, stupid. Claressa debuted as a super middleweight against Franchon Cruz. Or did you not know that? You're supposed to be a Claressa Shields fan. You're supposed to know this. That her very first 5 fights as a professional were at super middleweight. She doesn't move down to middle until 5 fights later for what was the Hannah Gabriel's fight. So like I said, dumbass, why would I give a girl who started out at super middleweight credit for beating another girl who started out at super feather, welter? If either Lauren Price or Mikaela Mayer had the chance to move up to the middleweight division, fight a couple of people there, maybe win a belt, then I could see. But if you're going to fight them all of a sudden, well, that doesn't make them credible opponents in the middleweight division because they're not middleweights. There is a very obvious discrepancy in size to be addressed, that Claressa is naturally bigger, naturally heavier. So what do you want me to say? That she deserves credit for beating what are naturally smaller women than she is that have no experience in the middleweight division? I'm sorry, but I can't do that. And the state of affairs at that weight, that, well, there's nobody else there to fight. I understand that. But that doesn't make what are naturally smaller women with no prior experience in this division all of a sudden credible, because this division is barren? For me, the situation is untenable. As the kids like to say, it just is what it is. It's an empty division. What do you want me to say? Anything north of 154 is pretty empty. Danielle Perkins, 43 years old. Kay Scott, 42. Franchon Cruz, 39. Lonnie Daniels, 38.
Want me to go on?
I'm not going to grade her opponents on a curve because her divisions are emptier than somebody else's, because that would be unfair to everybody else. It's the reality of these weight classes. The girl that Amanda Serrano is fighting on Friday isn't a 42-year-old with only 7 fights. She's 27, younger than the girl Claressa fought, younger than Claressa, younger than Amanda.
With more experience than Kay. It's the same with the girl Katie Taylor's about to fight, Flora Pilley.
It's what I said in my previous video. A journeywoman in the featherweight division is sometimes tantamount to a champion in the middleweight division, because the real talent in women's boxing has always been at the lower weights.
Why?
Because women are generally smaller than men. So, the heavier the division, the more empty it becomes, and the less skilled operators, you start to see that generally, women that heavy aren't athletic.
Talent pool starts to thin out.
It's not that it's unfair, it just is what it is. Unfair would be grading these opponents on a curve to accommodate Claressa at the expense of everybody else, who are fighting in deeper divisions against tougher opponents on a regular basis. I never said Claressa wasn't good. I never said she wasn't skilled. I rate her, pound for pound, number 2. But pardon me if I'm not impressed.
Why would I be? That she knocked out Kay Scott? Who the hell thought Kay Scott was gonna win?
That I'm not cheesed? She's chasing around smaller women like Michaela and Lauren? Which one of you guys out there think Michaela's gonna win? Which one of you thinks Lauren is gonna win?
Come here, I got this bridge I want to sell you.
Men's super middleweight news. Diego Pacheco says the learning stage is over. Bring on Munguia. Pacheco, 26-0 with 19 KOs, is coming off an 11th round knockout win of Emmanuel Alim last month. With the win, the ring's number 6th ranked super middleweight contender ensured he'd maintain his position in the middle of the pack. He immediately pushed for a fight against WBA super middleweight champion Jaime Munguia, but promoter Eddie Hearn proposed other potential encounters against Armando Resendiz and Bruno Surace that would lead to more seasoning for the still green Pacheco.
I actually agree with that sequence of fights, and it's not because I don't think he's ready for Jaime. I actually think he is ready for that fight. I would give him decent odds in that fight right now, but if he fights Armando and he fights Bruno, that gives him even more time to gel with Buddy McGirt, who's in his corner now. We already saw the difference.
And thus, Diego Pacheco is remaining patient and trusting the process. But the 25-year-old LA native insists he's ready for the champions and top contenders, especially with new coach Buddy McGirt at the helm. I've been looked at as high risk, low reward before, but I've been promised a world title fight in this contract with Matchroom, and hopefully we can get that. I want a big name opponent next, Pacheco told The Ring. Each of the champions is a tough fight and tough fighters.
Well, at least he knows that.
They are all even. If I can pick any of the champions, it would be Munguia, because I feel that he's the biggest name and the biggest draw. It would be a tough fight for the both of us. That would be a great fight in LA, and the fans would love it. Munguia is under Eddie Reynoso, and if I were to beat a guy like Munguia, I think it would line up the Canelo Alvarez fight perfectly. In a perfect world, that's how it would go down. After declining fights against Christian Mabili and Hamza Shiraz over the last year for a multitude of reasons, Pacheco proclaimed he's ready for the entire super middleweight gauntlet, a group that also includes champion Oslis Iglesias, top commodities in Caleb Plant, Jermall Charlo, Edgar Berlanga, and Demetrius Andrade. I'm in the second stage of my career now, where the learning stage is over, Pacheco said. Now it's time to go all in and really build that legacy. And I'm going to get there by fighting the top names.
How is he all of a sudden now ready for the top names, where before he turned down Hamza Shiraz, he turned down Christian Mabili, and it's likely because he was between trainers. He had just left Jose Benavidez, and he was in with some other guy. I can't remember his name.
The point being that it was a less than ideal time to take on those tough fights because he was between trainers, but now that he's settled in with Buddy McGirt, who I've been telling you, he's gonna mold him into a killer.
He's ready.
Any tall, long, rangy fighter with a jab, Buddy can work, like what he did for Sergey Kovalev.
Got him back to his WBO title.
What he did and is still doing for Callum Smith following his loss to Canelo Alvarez, and his time with Yanibek Alimkhanuly, the best version of Yanibek I've ever seen was Buddy McGirt's version of that fighter. So I don't have a doubt in my mind with a young, unbeaten fighter like Diego Pacheco, who's ambitious and wants these fights.
He's gonna turn him into a killer. I got high hopes for Diego, admittedly. Some people are lukewarm on this kid, but he's got really good ingredients, good height, length, power.
He's got a good jab and his inside game is coming along.
One fight with Buddy McGirt in the corner, and you're already seeing the improvements.
I wouldn't mind seeing him fight either Bruno or Armando next.
But he wants Jaime.
The reason I give Diego decent odds in that fight, even now, is because for as long as I've been watching Jaime Munguia, he's been a physically imposing fighter, often taller and longer than his opponents, at 154, at 160, even now at 168. When he fought Armando, he was bigger than Armando.
The Diego Pacheco fight in many ways would be uncharted waters for Jaime. He'd be in there with a guy who's bigger than him, but not just bigger, a boxer, a jabber.
Decent-sized punch, not the biggest, but big enough you don't want to let him hit you clean. Fighting Diego would put Jaime in a position he's seldom ever been in before.
And I would give Diego Pacheco decent odds here and now to win that fight. But let's say 1, 2 fights from now,
1 to 2 more camps with Buddy McGirt.
I really like his chances. And not just against Jaime Munguia, but some of those aforementioned fighters like Caleb Plant, Jermall Charlo, Demetrius Andrade. I think that Diego could get to those guys too. There might be some value in it, as they are the remnants of the previous cycle of super middleweights and middleweights. There might be some value in fighting them. The point being is Diego Pacheco, especially now that he's with Buddy McGirt, is one to watch out for.
And I expect to see him fight at least one more time before this year is out. In the fall. Against who? We'll see. Then's cruiserweight news. Mikhail Cieslak is likely next for David Benavidez on December 12th. The Ring's Mike Kopinger confirmed during the latest episode of Inside the Ring, which streamed this past Monday on DAZN, that the WBA and WBO Cruiserweight champion will likely face WBC interim title holder Mikhail Cieslak on December 12th. Other outlets have also reported that Benavidez versus Cieslak is potentially next on that date. Handlers for Benavidez, the Ring's #1 contender in the cruiserweight division and light heavyweight divisions, and number 5 on the Ring's pound-for-pound list, were previously in discussions to face WBC cruiserweight champion Noel Mikhailian. Armenia's Mikhailian instead pivoted to a fight against Ring Magazine champion Jai Opetaia on September 12th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. They'll meet and co-feature before Ryan Garcia defends his title against Conor Benn. In a main event Paramount Plus will stream in the United States, and DAZN will offer on pay-per-view to subscribers of its Ultimate Plan in the UK and Ireland. Whether the WBC title will be on the line for Opetaia versus Mikhailian remains to be seen.
But some industry rumors suggest that the title may yet be on the line in that fight, that the World Boxing Council won't strip him.
With Jay Opetaia, that is going to be for the WBC title. They are not going to strip Noam Mikhailian. They're not going to strip him. It is going to be for the WBC championship. He so basically said, if there's a lawsuit, if we strip him and there's a lawsuit, we will lose. Like, there's no reason. Like, he has to fight his. He does have a chance to do like his own a voluntary defense.
Yeah.
What the good people at the Casual Experts Boxing podcast are referring to is the potential for a lawsuit on the premise that information was withheld from Noel Mikhailian by his promoter Don King about an offer on the table for him to fight Jai at the very beginning of this year.
He didn't tell him, and because he didn't tell him, that's a violation of the Ali Act, in tandem with Noel Mikhailian being entitled to a voluntary defense.
Before having a mandatory imposed upon him, the World Boxing Council named David Benavidez of Phoenix, Arizona, Mikhailian's mandatory this past May. It is rare for a champion to be ordered by a sanctioning body to face a champion from another sanctioning organization, but it occurred in part because Benavidez's representatives petitioned the WBC on his behalf.
Now the rumor is they may not strip Noel Mikhailian after all.
David Benavidez, 29, also holds the WBC light heavyweight title. He'll remain at cruiserweight in part because the light heavyweight fight he wants against Ring Magazine, IBF, WBA, and WBO champion Dmitry Bivol isn't available to him yet.
Yeah, but also it's because he can't make light heavyweight anymore. Have you seen the recent training footage of this fighter? He's got to be walking around at least 225, 230.
He's done it light heavyweight, and the World Boxing Council may as well relieve him of that title now. Better still, if Noel Mikhailian, 35, is stripped of his WBC title, Cieslak, the ring's number 4 cruiserweight contender, could be elevated to full champion, or the title could be vacant for the Benavidez versus Cieslak fight. The WBC could also mandate the winner of Opataya versus Mikhailian face the winner of Benavidez versus Cieslak in a 3-belt unification bout next year.
Here's looking forward to that. As far as Cieslak, and how is it he became the WBC's interim champion? That was last year in a fight with Jean Pascal, who had no business campaigning as a cruiserweight.
Mikhail Cieslak took a very much aggressive, offensive approach with him, but I don't think he's going to keep that same energy for David Benavidez, who, even though he's new to the weight, he's got good size and decent hand speed, enough that I don't think Cieslak is going to try him or sit in the pocket with him.
Under normal circumstances, a fight with Mikhail Cieslak would represent a credible scalp in the cruiserweight division. The issue is, you can't sell that as a pay-per-view. David Benavidez versus Mikhail Cieslak. That is, you can't sell that in December and expect people to buy it.
Not during the holiday season when people have got family members and Christmas presents on the brain. To pay $75, $80 to see him fight a nondescript Polish guy? It's not even that Mikhail Cieslak isn't a decent fighter. He's actually alright. It's that the Americans don't know him. This fight is not a hot ticket. Reactions to the fight are lukewarm as what you would expect, though let's not pretend that we find ourselves here because of anybody's bureaucratic red tape or that David Benavidez is just doing what the WBC wants him to do.
He's not under threat of losing a title. He's not yet WBC champion, not at cruiserweight. If he's going along with this instead of fighting Jai, it's only because he wants to.
The reason no boxing fan should be supporting him in this endeavor to skirt around that fight is because the whole time he does, he's trying to charge guys like me and you $80 to see him. $80 at a time to see him fight everybody but the guy that makes for the best fight. It's lunacy.
So there you have it. It looks like it's going to be Cieslak.
And you can make of that what you will.